I guess there's that fine line between knowing we're good enough and still being open to the beginner's mind, you know, and knowing for some of us that are already teachers, and if you don't mind me leaning on the example earlier with you, Jo, we're used to doing things a particular way, so it's okay in our heads, and we stop listening to the little nudges and cues. Do you mind if I use that example?
No, that's fine.
So Jodie's used to teaching, you know, in a row with mirrors where everyone can see each other and there's that interaction and connection there.
Yeah,
right?
makes so much sense, but I love the awareness. I'm not upset. Okay.
I wouldn't have brought it up again. So Anna was across from Jodie, and Jodie had in her mind how she was going to teach, and it meant that Anna's back was to Jodie. Yeah, and Anna mentioned something kind of to me, to Jodie, about perhaps, you know, we could have done it a bit differently. And I snapped at Anna and said, because Anna's very good at being a teacher naturally, you know, coming up with ideas and inserting gently suggestions. And I was like, no, let Jodie work it out, you know, let Jodie feel that that's not right to be like that. And you probably just dismissed that as Anna and I talking and didn't pay it too much attention. I'm not.
No. I'm totally comfortable with this. This is about growth for me. I felt like it was good.
And for all of us, because we're all either teachers or, you know, you've done your healings for a long time and been a natural teacher, or we're parents and you're a parent. You know, we're all actually parents now, I'm thinking about it. So you've got your way you do things and you want to be confident in that and feel like you're enough, but you also want to have that graciousness to go, there's the little nudge. That's not, you know, feeling right. She's said it, now Ella said it. And then I had to say it again.
I love the way you said, though, to create the awareness, and I just did not fucking pick it up. You said, do you like looking at her ass? And I was like,
that's all I heard. Do you like looking at her ass? And I went, I was just teaching from behind. Yeah, that's
what I saw. And whereas I was like,
she should have been, I don't know.
I said, I'm not looking at her ass.
No, it didn't. And you didn't pick it up.
No, not at all.
But that's how you always.
Because you're so confident in teaching.
Yeah, that's right.
So you want that.
But
also and it's for all of us, including me. Yeah, and last time we met, you said something that stuck in my mind. I've been using it for teaching. I hope you don't mind, because I love our interaction's very clear for me. They're clear and there's a message. And you said something like that on a sledgehammer. We're laughing at that, and I got a bit like, you just called me sledgehammer, and you laughed. But I was like, you know, it was this whole thing going on about how we were giggling at each other's, you know, stuff. Yeah, and I thought to myself afterwards, yes. I do feel like a sledgehammer when someone misses the nudge.
Yeah, but it's a beautiful thing. I don't mean it as an insult.
But the thing is, you don't have to get the sledgehammer.
Yeah. Okay.
And that there's plenty of nudges along the way.
Well, I needed the sledgehammer today. And that's why it resonates with me to say that to you, because I'm not offended when someone is a sledgehammer. I think,
but maybe
someone else
kinder.
Yeah, I get it.
Maybe it's kinder to you.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's only something you can explore. But I know for me, I'm probably hyper alert on the other way, because I've had to, as a child, attune myself to environment to be aware of danger. Since very young. So I'm like hyper alert. I'm almost like electric networking to all of your nervous systems, waiting for a nudge. So my work is the opposite of you, perhaps, where I've had to become stronger in here's my message. It's going to deliver a jolt. I know it, right? I can feel that when I'm about to do one of those. Here it is. But I'm going to deliver it in a way that I'm confident that I am going to deliver it properly for you, and it's going to be received exactly how it needs to be, and it's not my business to get involved in your reaction. That work has taken a long time for me, and I still get caught up in it. You can get blamed, you know, for delivering a message. So now I look after it. So the way I sledgehammer it is, you'll notice, and I'm practicing more and more, and I hope I'm getting better, and I'm hoping for feedback from others, is I ask permission now. 9 times out of 10, I'll say, is it okay Is it okay for me to say that? And this is part of my business coaching. My coach is like, you're so intuitive, you're so fucking on. But if you just ask permission at the start and see if the person wants it, then that's a plan for you, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Then that's kinder to you because we've got an agreement. That's okay. Yeah, I'm aware. I can hear you, and I still want to. If the person says yes and they mean no, that's actually not my business.
Yeah.
You know, I might check in, but it's like okay, yeah.
I do like that.
Yeah. So I guess for me, for all of us, it's about finding that balance between being really confident. This is what I do. I know this. You know, I've got this. You want to have that, but then you want to have that, and I'm listening, and I'm watching, and I'm observing, and I love myself so much that I can hold that space for you, and I'm seeing you so much, I'm going to hold that space for you. Yeah, and I feel like that's the sweet point as a teacher. And we're going to waver between feeling confident and feeling sensitive. And that's okay. I don't think there needs to be like a hard ass kind of vessel around it, but and we are actually talking about the art of teaching now before we go into yin. Yeah. So I feel like if that's one thing you can take away from your teacher training at a heart level, then that's going to see you through everything. Yeah. And the other thing I was thinking over lunch is some people do training and then they go on to teach and they don't know if they're doing teaching, if their teaching's received well or not, except by the number of people that come to their class, which isn't always a good indicator. It's like looking at your Facebook likes to see if anyone really liked it. There are going to be a million people that don't comment. There's going to be a million people that don't care. You know, it's not a good measure. So you will get a good measure here. Let this be your playground to find your style, you know, do the different things as a teacher, make mistakes, pick yourself back up again. Just drop all of the expectations about yourself here because you will get proper feedback. And I want you to give that to each other. And maybe we all practice that in the group, you know, the one-on-ones or whatever, like, is it okay for me? I mean, we talked about this last time, I think. Today I'm open to feedback, today I'm not. Right? Remember we talked about that last time?
I asked Anna to help me because when we started going into it, and then I was very like, well, can you show me like what would you need to do? Because her stance was so much more than mine. For me to be able to pop up was easy. So I was like, well, like, can you help me? And we worked it out together.
Right.
Like,
how good is that?
Yeah.
It's very different. And Matt made a comment the other day of how good it is that we've all got such different body abilities and strengths and weaknesses, so that we've got such a diversity across the room that who can do what. And we're gonna, but you need to also pay attention, not looking at you. No, we need to pay attention to all the different body types and what people can do. Because often teachers teach to their body, and if you can't keep up, I think Mariska's a classic at that. And you know, she's an amazing yoga teacher all day. Very athletic. She does a lot of gym work and flexibility. You know, she's incredible body wise, but a fucking numpty in her emotional space. Which is such a shame because I went to her as a teacher for a while and I'm like, no. She's teaching to herself versions of herself. Her level of awareness, her level, she's not actually.
Isn't that what all teachers do to some level? I mean, they're only teaching at the level of the awareness they have in that moment.
Well, maybe I'm asking more of you.
I think we absolutely, that's why we chose you, right?
Well, I don't know.
We even had that conversation out there. The reason we chose you was because of that. And we want to go deeper. And we want to be able to, that's why we chose you. Versus the numpty that's.
That was
because that's
the
what
difference.
to our classes. Yeah, we want to go deep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So that's what's going to make you different to other people, and you already are that. You already are different people.
That's
to
why
other
I
people.
like attracts like.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're all here, girls.
We're all here.
We're just like each other.
So we all see ourselves in each other.
Yeah.
It's not like you've been without me necessarily, right? So the art of teaching, if you like to read while I'm talking, you're welcome to. I'm going to pass them to you, Anna, to pass to the girls. This isn't my full list, and what I'm hoping is as we're talking this through, that you also write, as things come up in your head, oh, what about this? You write that down. All right? You're capturing your own thoughts about the art of teaching.
Thank you.
Do you mind me starting? Okay. So teach students to be internally aware of any biofeedback. So one of your jobs is you might become aware of it. Like I had someone in yin and they were so fidgety, and I'd actually said at the start of the class, like I had some people that were complaining that there wasn't enough stillness for some people, new people that were coming were being fidgety, chatty, and like constantly, you know, making noises the whole time. And I said at the start of the class, I know there are new people here, you know, the way we do it is we find stillness. And if you're not able to find stillness, what's that kind of saying about you? And what are you needing? You know, what other things can you bring into your life to help you connect with that stillness and be okay with it when you come to a class? And this person kept fidgeting. I can't remember what I said, but I said something. It was tiny, but it was enough. They never came back. So the front end of the class where I said to no one in particular, you know, this is what we're about. This is what this style of class is about. This is the principle of this class. There's no fidgeting and stillness. And to explore where you feel like you can't be still and become aware of that. That's teaching biofeedback. Me going, you're a fidgety fucker tonight. It was not, which I didn't say, but it probably wasn't far off, to be honest. You know, that ostracized the person, it was personal, you know, so I'm constantly learning all the time because I'm quick and I'm a little bit naughty in myself. I'm quite a cheeky fucker. So I have these witty little like cheeky thoughts all the time, and I've got to like, which at the right moment is fun, isn't it, Anna? But it can also be, you know, well, you all know these functions sessions. So yes, so teaching your students to be internally aware of their own biofeedback is a great approach, right? Not follow me, monkey see, monkey do, but what's happening inside of you that you can notice. And some of the things that you can cue around that are, you know, fidgeting, quality of breath, how the body feels, you know, sweaty, foamy, skin colour, skin sensations even, and what are those things showing you? So using proprio and intro section tools, the proprioception and interoception as teaching tools. So proprioception is refers to the body's ability to sense movement within joints and joint position in space. So that's the ability, and I do this sometimes, and I think I might have done this last week, where I pretty much spent the whole week teaching people to be in stillness and closing their eyes in as many poses as they could, which shows you your proprio awareness. If you sit and close your eyes and you wouldn't know if you're upside down, or which happens to some people, their proprio awareness is terrible. If you're not aware, if you can't feel into the space around you and what's happening in that space, then you've got very limited proprioception. So you want to be able to teach people how to feel into space. And I do that in little funny cues, like make an energy gun. The energy is going up. So where am I in space? My energy is going up and the space around me is coming up with me. So what are some of the things you can say to help people feel their body? The other one is the example I just gave. Close your eyes in this pose, breathe, feel what's around you, feel yourself in the space around you.
And how you told us to feel the warrior, you know, before
this morning. Yeah, you like that?
Yeah, I do like that actually.
Yeah. That's maybe more the interoception, where you're feeling sensory awareness within your body and your emotional, but then you're sending it out to procreate.
Yeah. So you're more teaching the class of where their awareness, teaching them about their awareness of where they are in their body. Yeah.
So they say, I think this is an Iyengar thing, that when you first start teaching yoga, the person's awareness is outside and beyond their body. So their main awareness is procreate. And then as they master the yoga, and you'll see this in yourself, the more you practice, the more you are in, right? And then it becomes about your internal practice, your internal awareness. It's not about this anymore. It's about this. So you can still be here, bring her out. That's still internally coming out, right? So I've written some stuff about that there that you can look at later if you want. Yeah, and I wrote there, when students have not yet developed proper interoception skills, they will struggle with their own emotions and social interactions, and just being around others may be difficult. For instance, I had someone at class Friday night, what day is it, Sunday, a couple of months ago, and she came to class. I know a bit about her life, things she's been through. She sat there and she's got a cough. And she said to everyone, she coughed, just want to let everyone know it's not contagious, it's something I've been dealing with, it's been sitting with me for a while, it comes and goes, la la la. Okay, I'm going to a specialist, you know, like pain specialist, going to go see someone to deal with this. I said, oh, okay, no worries. And then the next thing that was talked about, I think I might have been talking about a horse or something, and she talked about how the foxes came and killed all her chickens, and then she, you know, the sentence went on to the 2 dogs dying in the last month, 2 cars breaking down, you know, all these things. And I looked at her and I said, so where in all of that have you dealt with your emotions? And it was like I had slapped her in the face. She went, emotions? Like, what are they? And how would I even know what they are, let alone how to deal with them? So we ended up having this really beautiful, very gentle conversation in the end before we started about all the things we can do to look after our emotional body, and how it's just as important as our mental, because mental body, you know, is something like, you know, mental health awareness, like that's something that's kind of normalised a bit more now, do you find, than what it was, say, 10 years ago, 5 years ago. Now I can openly say I experienced anxiety, and you know what I'm talking about, and you're not going to go, ooh, she shouldn't, you know, we've changed, but emotions are next level, right? And I feel like spirit's next level again. So she didn't know about her emotions. So we spent the meditation, and I invited them to let the emotions, like we did with you, let the emotions rise. They know how to do it. We just stop it, right? So let them come up, see what's there, and let it go. And so there will be students in the class that are absolutely zero. And the other interesting thing I hadn't thought about until I read that is not only is this person emotionally detached, she cannot read a social cue if it fucking stabbed her up the arse.
And made it.
Like a 12-year-old.
What do you mean?
What's that?
What do you mean by social proof?
She can't read. Socially.
Yeah, if she comes in and she's grumpy faced and, you know, she's not feeling
Into the energy of the room.
or noticing. Like you walk in, the first thing you do is scan the room. I see you know, we all do it in different ways. You come in and then you come in gently and feel into the space. But first you want to look. I'm looking, yep, now I'm coming in. So you've read the room. I mean, that's a very subtle example, but you've read the room. Say if you sat next to, say if you brought your stuff in, she doesn't walk like that, and you came to sit next to Melissa, but perhaps Melissa's got a spot there for her friend, and she's maybe put her water bottle there or something, right? It might not be on the map, and you've walked in, you've gone, you know, you haven't noticed the water bottle, you haven't picked up that Melissa's saving that for her friend, you haven't even looked in her direction to see she's going, trying to catch your attention to say, I've saved this, and you've already sat your ass down, put all your stuff everywhere, and then maybe gone, oh, this person's trying to say something to me, what? Because you've got none of that. Right. And I do feel like it, because she is detached, that she's not able to use her emotions to actually feel into the room. Oh, yeah, I'm just going to go back up to proprioception. One of the things that will show you that someone doesn't have good proprioception is when they go to move, they have to look around them first. Like they have to check that that person's arm isn't going to touch them, or, you know, they kind of, oh, you know, what are they doing and what are they doing? And so that's just someone that hasn't been around space of other people moving around them. Because usually in social interactions, we don't move around each other a lot. It's not like you go hi to your friend and they're like doing the spaghetti dance over you, you know, like we're normally pretty still when we interact with each other. So being around other people moving is a new thing for some people.
And some people don't like being close to people either, do they? Like they had a friend saying, oh my God, we'll never go back because and that's what I did. And I'm like, oh, I love that. That feels energy. That's, yeah, it's an amazing class.
Yeah.
So she was like, oh my God, no, pretty close.
One of the most fun classes I went to, there would have been probably about 100 people in the room. It was one of Janet Stone's class in Bali in July. And the mats were, there wasn't enough room for your drink bottle between the mats. And the whole place was full. She had people walking around supporting, and she spent the whole time walking around too, which was lovely. But like when we went into Locust, I had the person's feet up over past my head. And she was making a joke about it. It's like, yeah, you know, and one of the poses we did, which was, I don't know, some funky thing, balancing on the side, twisty thing. She's like, hold on to your neighbour's foot to give them some extra balance. Everyone's holding on to their, you know, and one of the poses, someone was holding onto my leg up high as I was doing something, and everyone was doing it. And it was fun. So I'm quite tactile too. Yeah, you're right. But those people may be unsuited to it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're like, bring it on.
Well, in that
It happens in
fun,
Bali too, right?
I guess I see the connection that we value more than the foot. I don't want people's feet.
Yeah.
But you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so how to teach. Ask, don't tell. Ask. How does that feel to you? How would you, you know, like what you were doing, Anna, how would you go into it, Anna? How would you do this? And that, again, I think helps people turn inwards on themselves. If you come up and go, do this, often they'll do it, but you see that they're not, especially in yin, they're not comfortable in doing it necessarily. They're doing it because you've said it. But if you say, how would it feel if you put this block underneath? And then you feel them open to the inquiry. Yeah. And then you go, I can put it there. You put it there. Does that feel good? No, it doesn't. Okay, let's take it out. Because at the end of the day, you want them to not lay there for 5 minutes in, you know, Supta Baddha Konasana, feeling terrible and scared to move because you've just come and set them up, especially, and they're worried that they're going to offend you. People are very conscious about offending other people. They don't want to offend other people. Use speech or silence mindfully to support the student's practice and not your ego. I suffer from this bit because sometimes I've had like no one to talk to all day. I don't know if it's really ego, but it's for my own needs, and I want to tell them about something, and I'll like be laying there going, like I really just want to tell them that funny thing that happened, or like, but that's not really for their benefit. And I do it sometimes, but it's kind of like, that's not really that great to do it that often, because really it's about them. And for me to break the silence because I've just heard a dog fart or saw a dog's bum hole in the Zoom that stopped the whole meeting, or something that I think is hilarious that I must share, you know, for them, it's not that great.
I went to a yin last month, and this girl told her whole life story, I'm not joking, in a matter of 2 poses. We do, oh, still not finished, I'll go to the next pose. So it was horrible. And I was like, what the hell?
What do you mean, like a customer?
She was a teacher, and she was teaching the class, telling everyone about, I can't even remember what it was because I was trying to block it out. It was something to do with the growth of the birth of the child or something. Well, we were in these postures. It was way too much information. We didn't need to know it at all. And I just wanted the silence. The peace. I came for the peace, not to take on her burdens of her life. But she was trying to get to the good part to kind of make it, you know what I mean? Like a bad story into a good story to see the light.
Yeah.
But it was just,
So that's a great example of someone taking it way too far.
Yeah.
So don't get that person. Like sometimes.
But also she clearly missed the cues as well. You know.
It was dark and she probably wasn't aware. But again, yes, she wasn't. That's right.
And you know, sometimes it is because, especially yin is such a healing space. it is tempting as a teacher to take your own healing into that space. And I think there's nothing wrong with it if it's done in moderation and if it's done in respect to what people need in the class, right? But that whole silence, and you won't know how much silence is needed, but I can tell you now, it's more than what you think. Because I self-regulate my silence a lot, and I still talk way more than what I need to. Oh, if you're open to me giving you some feedback.
Yes.
Something I heard you say when you were teaching was, now we're just going to a couple of times.
Yeah.
You could cut that,
Okay.
and that would mean your words are more potent.
So how would you say it?
I don't know, but I'm going to give you an example of
Yeah.
something you might not have exactly said.
Yeah.
Right. So instead of saying, now we're going to engage our belly and lean back, engage your belly.
Yes.
Lean back.
Yeah.
Breathe. And we do, I think someone made the comment about Sarah, which I didn't give to her because she's too raw in her teaching. Said, could you tell her, it might have been Joe, could you tell her that she used the word and so too much? Like at the start of the thing, going, so we're going to do this now. So we're going to do that now. So all of those things become really painful for students, and we've all experienced it, and I'm sure I have mine. I'm not actually aware of what mine are, but when I've gone to see other teachers, like there'll be something about what they do or say that you just go, ooh, if they fucking say sorry one more time, oh, and you can get fixated on that.
Yeah. It's also changing your voice. I think that's been a pet peeve for some teachers, and they almost put their teacher voice on. So at the start of the class, they're talking to you normally, and they're like, no, we're moving those. And their voice completely changes, and they're like, yes. Please remember that.
Which is a tricky one because you want to have projection.
Yeah.
And you want to, like I do, this horse trainer that I went to the other day, I loved some of the things he said. He was like, you've got different hats and you can change them when you're with your horse. So you can put on the hat of I'm loving up on you so much, I'm your best buddy. You can take off that hat and go, I'm your leader, fucking step back. Right? So I feel like you want to, because when I come in the room, I can't think of one student that I have that hasn't become my friend within 2 classes. Like, you want to be able to switch in and out of that, I feel like. But maybe it's that teacher is too over the top.
Yeah.
Because you've got to play in the presence.
Yeah.
You've got to go, I'm teaching now.
Yeah.
This is me and I'm teaching. People have said to me, you've got to teach your voice, and I probably do. And I'm sure I do. But how do you bring that in a way that feels like that transition? Your transitions, I loved your transitions in, I didn't even notice, you were like a little gentle wave the whole time, you know, you taught. Just your voice was just that smooth sail. And that, I feel like people, it's not disruptive. You know, so in yin especially, that smooth tone is great. But then when you're teaching flow, and you would know this if you're an expert at motivation, you want to be able to switch on the motivating motherfucker. Right, who's going to count down? 10. No, you know, because people are like going, I don't want to fucking do this.
Yeah.
So you're like, okay, now we're going to, I'm not saying you're doing this.
No.
I love your voice.
But I can feel the difference from when you teach, you know, like even said this morning, you were really trying to uplift and empower us. I could tell that through your music and through your voice. Yeah. And the way you were wording things. It brings a different energy to when you're in yin. Totally get that. I'm sure that comes with practice too, doesn't it? Like stepping into it and
specifically chosen, like she knew what she wanted to deliver. Yeah.
But you know what? I was also listening.
Yes, you were.
And there were some things, I can't remember what they were, that came to me this morning as I was preparing for this. I can't even remember what they were. But there were things, and then someone said that thing, and I'm like, okay, did I fully listen to that cue when it dropped in before I ran the class and bring that? That's how subtle I'm working. Did I miss that cue? Okay, I might have missed that cue. Now they're saying that, okay, I'm hearing it now. This is something I need to bring. And so I did that kind of thing. But that's the kind of level of awareness I'm bringing in. I did have an intention. I actually put that music on. It's called my Spirit High list. I put it on for arrival and I was going to change it. My intention was to change it. And I was like, no, this
Needs to
is good.
stay.
We've all had a release, we've all been really honest. Now it's time to fucking come back into our bodies and power through it. So yes and no.
Yeah.
I didn't plan it. Planning too much doesn't really bring the spirit.
Do you think the reason why you don't like that lady's voice is because of her tone? Like, as in she goes into this airy, flary, and it's not, you know, if that's not resonating with
It's one
you?
particular teacher, and I actually do all their classes now. If it's the only class I can get to, I'll go to it. But because of the way
Last
she,
resort teacher.
pretty much, she completely changes her voice, and I've spoken to other students about it. Yeah, I think, I think.
And
that
therefore it
might be, I
doesn't
don't
fit
know.
with you.
Yeah, it's very light and airy, and it's the same cues every time. It's, yeah, so I think just the whole, whatever she delivers is just doesn't feel genuine.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Yeah.
it sounds like you lack of authenticity.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and people kind of go, oh, I have to be doing now, so I feel flirty, and they're going to do the craft like this. I don't know, it just doesn't feel right. Yeah. There's sometimes there's sometimes that it works and there's appropriate times for it, but the class that she's teaching, it's not the voice that it needs. Yeah.
So maybe one of your superpowers is to tune into what the class needs. You know, so I feel like these things come up to show us. They're not there just to want to make us want to scratch our nails on a chalkboard, you know. They're not there for that. They're there to show us that something's in that for you. So I would then, so I would
That's what
then
I'm trying to
say,
get to, like, why?
Yeah.
Like, why is it that she does annoy you? Yeah.
what's in it?
Yeah. I haven't been to any of your classes, so we
You've been
have
to
to
one.
be in, but that's
Oh, yeah, yeah.
different. But would you ever ask everyone on the mat how they're going before you even start? Or do you just get into a class straight away?
Ask Anna, she comes to my classes all the time.
No, there's always an engagement as to what's going, how's everyone feeling, and I've really got this in Bali too, and I find that you do that too, but sometimes in a different way. Is that in Bali they'll ask you what's your energy level? And they'll go to each person to find out what their energy level is. And Akela does the same thing. She'll find out how you're all feeling, where you're at. Are you up? Do you need flow? Do you need, you know? She really reads the room as to what is needed.
And
So
I
you
also
ask each person individually.
I know I have to cast it out, depends on the size of the room. But I also, thank you, Anna. I also say to people, are there any particular body areas you want to avoid or delve into? And if nobody speaks up but one person, I go with that. If 5 people speak up, then I make a bit of a joke about, someone says core and I'll do, right, you can blame Kathy for the next 5 minutes of your class. We're going core. And, you know, then you can make a bit of fun about it, but people feel like they're heard and listened to. And the amount of times I have people say to me at the end of the class, that thing you said or that thing we did was exactly what I needed. How did you know that? It's because I genuinely am teaching for them. I do want to know what people want, you know?
So that will come with us in time, in practice. That's not, I mean, we can be in tune.
You can start
But in the
practicing that
beginning in
now.
our head where we're thinking about all the things, right? We've planned our class. So eventually when you're not planning a class,
That's what
then
I'm
all
thinking
that
too.
can come in, right? Because you can't really
Well,
do that in
you
the
could
very
still-
early stages.
I think you could. I think you just believe that you can do anything at any time,
Okay,
all right?
yes.
So you could plan a beautiful class, perfectly executed, with all of your little cards in a row. And
Yeah,
then
I
you could
couldn't do that. I didn't even use my notes. I'm like, no, you're not thinking of
and you could bring that sequence class, including meditation, to the group, right? And you can still, that's still your anchor because you prepared that. But then you could go, okay, so I know that people want to do hips. I had planned a back sequence. So what I'm going to do is sequence from the back into the hips, right? So you can still, you just nudge a little bit. So if people are saying they are feeling tired, I'll be like, okay, we'll do a gentle class. How about we do half? How about we do half of the class I planned and then we'll do more yin at the end than what I planned.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, that's cool. Or but you wouldn't do that if it's going to throw you off because that's not fair to you. but you also wouldn't put the invitation out, I think,
Yes.
if you couldn't deliver it.
Exactly.
I know right now, yeah, I couldn't
I
go,
wouldn't
this
do it
is
at
what
the
I
beginning.
planned, this isn't gonna work today, I'm just gonna fly by my knickers and put something together.
You couldn't.
I'm not
That's
there.
bullshit. I'm gonna call bullshit on that, because when I had a twingy back and you were doing the PT with me online.
Yeah, but that's a
Excuse me, I haven't
different.
finished talking.
Sorry.
Look at you, Carl. You're gonna die from holding it in. Hold on to those big undies that you don't wear. She told me to wear deep babies, so. Because I had it anyway. It's a real conversation. You had all the things, and I said to you, I'm not sure if the twist crunch is going to work for me. And you kind of ignored me a little bit, and then you listened, and you were like, and because I could see you going, oh no, it's going to be all right, it's going to be all right. But then you were just, you could wear anything you wanted to, and you did. You did all kinds of different stuff. I felt seen, I felt heard, I felt catered for, and I felt like I still got the workout I wanted. So I think it's
I
bullshit.
think that's different for that, like, that's where I'm confident. Putting yoga together, like sequences together, I'm not there yet. I've got to learn more.
You're in teacher training.
Yeah.
Yes.
Be
Yeah.
kind to yourself, put that
Yeah.
sledgehammer away with the spike on it, and find the fluffy mitten for self-love.
I can do this. I'm working on it.
All right, teach to the principles. So even though I've got a lot of other skills and tools at my available to me, because people have come to a yoga class, I will use the yogic word. So we might do something energy-wise, but I will give it its name. I will say, instead of what's your deepest desire you're holding within your womb space, that I'd say in a women's circle, I would say, what's your sankalpa? And sankalpa is a yogic word for the same thing. So I keep
The theme.
the integrity
Yeah.
of the practice that people have come for. And equally, if people had come for some of my goddess work, I wouldn't be using all the yogic terms. I might use some, but I'd be using the terms that are more specific to that work, right? So that's the principles that we're talking about there. And explore the principles. So if you do, say, a class that's hip open or hip mobility, great idea, but how deep have you gone with that? Have you then looked up in your books what that really means? What it's really, not just the list of benefits you found on Google on the first hit, but like, what is it really going to do for people, and why are you bringing that?
Like, as in the stress or the tension, or is that like the emotional as well as being the physical? And
Just look deeper.
Yeah.
Whatever that deeper is for you. If you're attracted to more physical components, then you would go physical. For me, when I talk about hips and hip opening, I talk about the way that women hold their power in their hips.
Yeah.
And if there's pain, there's resistance.
Yeah.
So anything in the pelvic region, for me, that's got to do with pain is resistance and denial of the feminine woman.
Oh, there it is again.
No, I'm just,
Myself.
I'm just like,
I'm having my friend food. I'm like, oh yeah, yeah.
So there was a woman that came on a yoga retreat a few years ago who suffered really badly from endometriosis. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Yeah, like,
Well, endometriosis is actually within the whole cavity,
okay.
and mine is just in uterus.
Yeah.
So 90% of endometriosis have what I have as well. So it's
Awesome.
really
Close.
cool.
Yeah. So this woman experienced a lot of pain through her life all of the time. It did not stop for her. Right, she was seeing specialists. It was the main thing she talked about in her incoming conversations about coming to the retreat. On the third day of the retreat, she broke down. She was an utter mole to me. No one's going to pick this apart from that. She was an utter mole to me, like really nasty, really lashed out at me. And everyone was like, whoa, like quite taken aback. And then she went into a bundle of tears. And then she came out of it and said, I've just realised I haven't felt pain for 3 days. So she said, what the fuck is actually going on with me? So, moving on. The student is responsible for their own interior investigation. You can't make someone look inside. Manage injury carefully, and I would use inquiry. So I do love to pick people up when they come to class. People, what's up there?
I don't know, but I heard that too.
Well, it's the drum penning because it's tightening on the skin, but it felt like there was a whole person up there. Or something. Yeah,
It really did.
I thought what I did.
Me
Yeah.
too. Yeah. People come to class sometimes and they say my bad leg or my naughty shoulder or whatever, right? Or my bung, my fucked up, or whatever. And I do actively pursue a change in language around that. It's like, and I will hear me use the language. People that are feeling a sensitive back today, people that are healing a knee. They're the words that I use. So I feel like you manage the injury carefully and pay attention to what the person's saying because their experience is real. But you also help them reframe the healing potential. Everything can heal, right? Explain how certain poses and sequences switch off the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. This is probably more a yin thing, but still I do use it in other styles of yoga. So parasympathetic is the rest and restore nervous system. There are two, and they trigger between each other. And then there's a sympathetic. Have I got that the wrong way around? No, that's right. And then the sympathetic is fight or flight. So when the body undergoes stress, it's in fight or flight. And it's a really good thing. It nourishes the body, it awakens the adrenals, it gets things flowing, it gets things moving, but it's the inability to switch off that is the problem. Right? So you can talk to people about that in your classes, especially around the Shavasana at the start and the end. You know, I always do meditation at the start and then Shavasana at the end, reminding people why they are here in that pose at that moment is to give themselves a break, right? And we use a lot of breath work in that way. Make every single movement a mindful one. So some people do such fast flow but they're not in their body. Did you go to any of Leilani's classes when she was teaching here when I was in Bali? Well, you were in Bali too, weren't you? I had a student teach to do some classes here for me when I was in Bali, and people said, "Oh, she was really fast, like she just kind of it just didn't stop." And I'm like, So she's not particularly mindful. She wasn't being with them and noticing and being present in each pose. So the speed of your class is totally up to you, but not being mindful of yourself or your student is probably a little bit disrespectful.
Do you think that was about her teaching at, like what we were talking about before, at her own ability? So therefore she didn't have the awareness because...
Yeah, I wasn't there, but quite possibly.
Yeah.
I had a very fast class yesterday morning, and my friend went to it as well, and afterwards I'm like, was that really fast? It was like, yeah. Like everything, you just got into it and you're out of it again. It was just like, and I felt spun out by the end of it. And I think it was the teacher just knowing I had to do all of this and I would squeeze it all in that small amount of time.
Yeah.
And it was a big class. We did so much, but it was almost like at the end of it.
Yeah.
So it didn't feel what you usually get out of
The stillness.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess that's a style thing. If that teacher likes to do that, that teacher's probably going to attract people that love the ego pump.
That's exactly what it was.
So, and that's great. Some people, like I saw someone post a photo the other day, I just attended hot yoga, it was so hard and fast and I'm so sweaty. That's what that person loves.
Yeah.
There's a market for what that person loves.
Not very good classes. So it was full of
It was the same person, it was the same room. Yeah, it probably was.
So that's the style, right?
Yeah.
So you get to decide your style, unless you teach somewhere where there's a style that you have to do that's different, you know. But I hope none of you end up somewhere like that because it's a bit demoralising, I think, becoming a McDonald's yoga teacher.
Yeah.
It's nice just to find your own way and be your own fun studio where you can be you, or a space you seem to be finding lots of space where you can be you. Break patterns in yourself and help students to do that also by gentle awareness raising. So I've got full disclosure on things that I'm working on in my class. I do tell people those, you know, I share that, don't I, Anna? I do share with what I'm going through sometimes at the appropriate moments, and also show them how to break those patterns. And my students get a lot out of it. And to be completely honest, it also refers people. Like I get a lot of people that come to my yoga, I call it a gateway. And they come to my yoga, they experience what I have the potential to do in their lives and they want to come and do other things. So if you're able to be that person living your authenticity as a teacher in yoga, it's demonstrating what you're capable of doing beyond yoga. So if this is something you want to do and make the whole life of it, then you want to have the capacity to be able to do that stuff, right? Your students want to see you kicking goals. Even if it's something as simple as like what Anna said before, she loves it, but she knows that I study. I'm not finished. There's much more I want to do with my life, you know, and that's exciting for a student, I think. When you're in the coaching business that I've just joined, they're like, if you can't see your student or your client with you for 10 years, you've got a problem. If you can't grow and move and keep growing, then you're giving them a dead end. It's not attractive to people. Add variety to encourage different sensory experiences. I'm big about this, but if you go to Bikram, it's just the same shit, different days, isn't it? It's the same sequence. Yeah, and some teachers love doing the same sequence. To me, I'm a big believer in creating lots of neurological pathways, because to me then, the way that results in my life is I've got options on how I'm going to perceive something. Something happens, what's my response? It's not, because that's the way I've always done it. It's like, okay, I've got 10 different options I can choose because I've expanded my ability to perceive from many different angles. And it's also very helpful with my clients.
I think actually that goes back to the previous one that actually shows the students that you're growing and evolving and changing with your own life as well as bringing that into the class too.
Absolutely.
It's attractive.
Yeah. People are getting something more, and that's what people, when I've asked people, what is it that you like about my class, they often say it's more than yoga.
Yeah.
You do more than yoga, okay? I don't know if it's a tagline of the business, but it's good to know. Vary the pace. Again, this is just a personal styling thing. And sometimes I don't let up on the pace. And other times I do. So that will be your choice. Foster inner learning and gentleness. If you're harsh on yourself, your students will feel like they have to be harsh on themselves. And you can't fake that shit. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Set an intention and then pay attention. So that maybe goes to what we were talking about just before, Danny. Yes, I did have an intention today, and then I paid attention. So I was able to be flexible in that. Notice sensations in the room, in your body, in others, as a collective in the class. Use visual and imagery tools for the meditation, if you like. That's optional. Any comments before we go on to yin? Any questions or anything?
Yeah, I'm always saying.
No, I've always loved the diversity you put during Shavasana, where you change that sometimes, and sometimes you're giving us colours, and sometimes you're sending us to places, and sometimes that's so beautiful.
You teach us how to. That's one of my kind of scary elements, is the teaching of meditation.
Why don't you ask me what you want to ask me?
Will you teach us how to?
Can I?
Would you teach us?
You teach us? No, not like that. Come on, Melissa. I want to see you powerfully ask a question directly to me.
I would love it if you could teach us how to bring a meditation to a group.
Fuck yeah, I will do that for you because that's a gorgeous request. Yeah, absolutely. Can you remind me what you said? Because I just fell in love with the fact you said not what you said.
I can't remember now. I have to replay back on the video. Yeah.
You want to know how to bring in meditation?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We'll make that a feature. I think I've got it in there, but we can make it more of a feature, absolutely.
Cool.
Right. All right, so Jodie has done dealing with me before, so I'm sure I can start, which is now anyway. Do you mind if I go ahead?
Go ahead, yeah, I will do.
So Yang Yoga focuses on the muscles and Yin Yoga focuses, we are shifting now to Yin, to talking about Yin Yoga, primarily Yin Yoga. Yang Yoga, which is every other style apart from Yin, actually restoratives. Okay, so Yin Yoga is a whole methodology that's called Yin Yoga, right? And then there's restorative yoga, which there's all different kinds of restorative yoga. If you go and do, I remember once I went to an Iyengar restorative and there was nothing about that class that I found restorative, but it was for the teacher that taught it. And then there's yoga nidra, which is another kettle of fish. And I think did I do a short yoga nidra maybe at the start?
Isn't
right?
that more of a meditation?
Yeah, it's a meditation, body awareness, it's a sequential body scan and really, yeah.
It's nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've really done that at bedtime a few times.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, found that really beneficial.
So in my Yin classes, I do mix it up. I'm not a traditionalist. You can go to a Yin class and that it's pure Yin, meaning it's intense. It's probably like some of the Yin classes I've done in Bali have been the most intense class I've ever done in my life over anything else I've ever done. Yin isn't meant to be relaxing. That's not its goal. It's not about being soothed and relaxed into heaven. That's restorative. I believe that's what restorative yoga should be, where you're in a pose undisrupted for 5 to 8 minutes in bliss, not feeling like you're stressing anything. Yin is a deliberate stress on certain parts of the body to release tension. That makes sense? Just wanted to be really clear with that. So Yang, it doesn't include restorative or yoga nidra, but flow, Bikram, Ashtanga, Vinyasa, Iyengar. Focus on the muscles, where Yin targets the deep connective tissue. And I think Matt kind of covered some of this stuff in his conversation when he talked about different tissues. So Yin focuses on your fascia, ligaments, joints, and bones primarily. It's slower and more meditative. The way I sometimes experience connective tissue release, I call it, it's like a slow moving train out of the station. The release is not a quick fixed muscle release. It does not feel like that at all. It feels like it's really, difficult to shift, right? It's a very, very different experience in the body. It gives you space to turn inwards and tune into both your mind and physical sensations in your body, which is its beauty, right? Because you're holding postures for a longer period of time, helps you stretch and lengthen those rarely used tissues while also teaching you how to breathe through discomfort and sit with your thoughts. And to me, I feel like that's the goal in Yin, is learning how to breathe through discomfort and telling the difference between pain and discomfort. And breathing through that and giving yourself the resilience, building the resilience within. So Yin is based on ancient Chinese philosophies and Taoist principles. So it talks about qi rather than prana. So it's all same. Melissa, you covered a lot of this in your Ayurvedic talk the other day. So we talk about qi in Yin, but it's the same as prana and life force and all interchangeable terms like that. So by stretching and deepening into poses, we're opening up to any blockages and releasing the energy to flow freely. Versus the class you talked about just before, Danny, that was more forced, quick endorphin release to flush. So it's just a different way to do it. It's not that it's bad, it's just different, just kind of like what you like. Sometimes it's good just to have some exhilarating, fast-paced thing that you are dizzy over and it's flushed you out, just different. A Yin Yoga sequence has a very similar effect on our energy as an acupuncture treatment because we're working the meridians, we're working the points and the meridians. So a good yin class, you'd be looking at the sequence and the effect on the meridians, and you would choose sequencing to target specific organs or meridians, right? That's the beauty of yin, where you can bring in themes and seasons and Ayurveda. You probably know because you've done your yin studies too, haven't you? So you know how beautiful yin is to bring into the work that you already offer. So yin poses get held 3 to 5 minutes, sometimes 20 minutes. It depends what it is. It's pretty rare though. We're looking to access the deeper tissues. La 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 la. You raised something with Matt about the joints and the fluid response. The way, if I've got new people in my class, and generally if they're like blokes or people that I know that are very physical with their body, that are probably going to experience back sensitivity, and we do a class, and I've planned, or we do a class that's focused on the back and back compression. I will always say something similar to what I'm about to say now. And that is, in yin, we compress the bones together to deliver a response in the body of healing. Keep it super simple. It's normal to feel a dull, achy compression feeling when we're about to do these next poses. This is exactly what we want. We want the body to then respond by delivering healing fluids. And then people aren't freaked out going, this hurts. Because if you've ever had a back injury of the lower back sacrum area, like Sphinx and Seal and some of those poses that really compress, even camel, that really compress the back, especially if you're in them for longer periods of time, people come out of it going, oh, I've fucked my back. Because it feels like what an injury feels like. But the difference is we are actually, I don't say this very often, we are deliberately injuring, we're injuring the body. To create the done under controlled situation, mindfully, carefully, and skillfully. Which is what I always say to people at the start of yin when they're new. Hi, welcome. Have you done yin before? Okay. Well, make sure you really enjoy the class tonight. And make sure you listen to your body. If I say something that you don't like or doesn't feel right for you, or you want to come out earlier than me, please come out. You totally got my permission. And I'll say that a couple of times during the class in a similar way, so that people can listen to their body and move if they need to. I'm not going to go into this ad nauseum, but the benefits of yin are lengthening the connective tissue. So one of the things I think is really beautiful about yogi body versus a full gym body with no yoga is the full gym body with no yoga has a lot of shortening and compacting of the muscles, and people are very inflexible and generally inflexible, right? So the yoga then stretches that muscle out and makes these long, beautiful muscles, right? Which I think is really attractive compared, especially on a guy.
When their triceps are like.
Increases flexibility, of course, because it stretches the fascia and juices up the fascia. So this is interesting. Fascia needs at least 120 seconds, 2 minutes, of sustained stretching, not fidgeting. Right?
Yeah.
To actually affect its elasticity. And that's the thing. Like, I have one guy who comes to yoga and he shifts and moves quite a lot. He's pretty good. He does it pretty quietly. But every time he moves, I'm like, dude, you just lost it. Dude, you just lost it. Dude, you just lost it. Like,
yeah,
because he can't be with it enough for it to work. But he's a massive TV watcher, he told me the other day. So he's doing a really good job. He's stretched himself so much further than what he ever had before he started doing yoga. But the 2 minutes at least. So if you fidget, if you're teaching, you're constantly being a fidget ass yourself by getting the water or doing and you're in yin and you're trying to like, oh, let's check the song or that was a bit loud, or which I do. I always try to do it in between the poses. So I'm still getting the benefit of the pose and I'm not just in and out too quickly. Right? It boosts your circulation, and Matt kind of covered that a little bit through his talk. Reduces stress levels. So So this is something that people don't expect when they come to yoga. Any type of yoga classes that I teach anyway, is the breath work and the awareness of the breath in being able to relax you, or having an environment that shows you how to relax. We've got a lot of environments around us that show us how to be stressed. We haven't got a lot of environments around us that show us how to be relaxed, because as a culture, we don't value relaxation. So it's most people don't actually, it's like I say to people sometimes, you know how like you can create stress in your body? You can also release stress from your body. And they're like, what? And I'm like, yeah, you can switch it on or off. Like, you don't have, not only an on button, right?
Yeah.
So it's good to remind people in whatever way, whether that's meditation or in the pose, to let go, to breathe, to do all those things. And we talked about the parasympathetic and the sympathetic nervous system before. It's not necessarily that people will go into a parasympathetic nervous system cycle in yin, because some of the poses might be very challenging. But you want them to drop into that space. If you can't do it, if your practice is really strong, and you only do that practice is really strong with people that are really up for that, but maybe you choose music that's very soothing. Or maybe if it's a strong practice, you talk like hardly, not at all. So you create some kind of way to bring that soothing element into the practice.
Can you use also like, you know, the outbreak and saying where can you relax more into the pose?
Absolutely. Yeah, releasing the jaws, tension in the face, the temples, the eyes.
You know, I feel like for me, the experience of yin has been like massive for my life. Like, I cannot say how thankful I am that I found you. And I, as someone, as myself, who is so about being strong and fit and all of that, I've never felt so empowered by my own body as I do when I'm in yin, and it is fucking hard. And all you're doing is being still in this moment, and yet I can feel sometimes when, you know, even if you've just got the fingertips of the floor, and I can feel my whole body is like, but I find it like exhilarating. Like, I'm so blown away by how like amazing something like that and what it can do for the body. Like,
Yeah, and the mind and the spirit, and our whole culture has domesticated us to believe that the only way we will experience joy is by action. And that's the masculine and the patriarchal.
Yeah.
And where it all weaves back in, right?
Yeah.
And the qualities of the feminine to receive, and the power of receiving, which is what we talked about around, are you open actually to giving yourself, allowing support to come to you right now? You know, because if you're not, then you're denying a whole part of you that is needing that comfort, and you would need it. You know?
Yeah.
So it's receptive, and you know, practically, I've had people come in with Fitbits and say that they've burnt off more, or whatever the things are that they're counting, than they had in the yin class when they did in some hardcore HIIT class.
Yeah.
You know, so
It's
yeah,
it is fascinating. Like, I
Yes,
find
so-
that, yeah, so that's why I think that's where that passion comes from, because it's such a gift. Like, yeah.
So I think because you connect your mind and your body with you more than any other practice. Really.
you're kind of forced to, aren't you?
Yeah, and you are calming, just like you said, when you feel buzz, that's often the nervous system is so wide.
Yeah.
And you're still and you're like, oh my God, like I feel like I'm plugged into a socket, I can feel everything.
You notice
everything. I
You
can
notice
everything.
So that might be how you're feeling all the time.
But
But
that's
it's not
it.
too. That's how this is.
Yeah, right.
So because you're being still, you can actually feel all the
Feel.
sensory things happening in your body.
Yeah.
But then what happens is when you finish is your nervous system is getting much calmer.
I literally am so different after yin. I feel like I can feel it in myself that I'm like, wow, I feel this a beautiful sense of calmness, and it's so different for me to feel that way because I am someone that is in my masculine a lot. I am someone that's can act up and wired and on the go, and yeah, it's just amazing.
Well, what you said there is actually incredible. It's that our society bases our happiness and joy in them.
Yeah.
And the masculine. It's really is amazing. Well, it's so true.
Yeah.
And it's multi damaging because it then denies the nurturer, it denies the life giver, it denies the one that looks after the family and the home and the cooking, it denies all the softer skills, it denies us the ability to believe that we are worthy of receiving unless we're going out and hunting. So all of the qualities of the divine feminine, which we have in the past gained a lot of power from, have been diminished to make us believe that we cannot have that anymore, or it's unworthy. So it's a whole revolt against the system, really. But yin is almost like a revolt, you know, in acknowledging that you can receive from stillness. But you look at any culture that's in, I call it intact, you know, a culture that still has the cultural practices and the community of that culture strong, there will be practices of stillness. That's what cacao is. You know, you go to Bali and how many minutes they spend in the day and the evening doing their blessings. It's in quietness, it's in stillness, it's communing with spirit, you know. Tea ceremonies. Yeah, so many. Even drumming, you know, the trance drumming or trance dancing or yeah. So, you know, I'm all about reclaiming all of that. It's a contemplative practice. And so when people come to yin, I had someone come a little while ago and I could hear and see she was crying the whole time. And she pretended she was sniffing this hay fever, she said. Okay, and then she didn't come back. I might have told this story. And then after class recently, because I asked her friend, is she okay? Did I say something to offend her? She was coming really regularly to flow, only once to yin. She stopped coming to everything. She said, oh, I'll check in. Woman comes back to class. Have I told you this story? Yeah. So she said she was crying and hadn't felt her emotions, right? So it is a contemplative practice. If people aren't used to.
Cry.
Oh yeah.
Of course, right?
I
You
don't
give them anything.
I've been taught, and it feels right for me, that giving someone a tissue is a stop sign.
Yeah, I agree.
It's totally, we've been trained that it's okay. If someone brings you a tissue, they're basically saying, you know, you're messy, here's your, clean yourself up kind of thing. I will have sessions with people, you know, the one-on-ones I do, and they will be a snotty fucking mess. There'll be snot and tears, and they will use their sleeves and their arms, and it is beautiful. And they are fucking 100%. I've got tissue there, they can sing. They're 100% happy to sit in their mess because they need to feel their fucking mess. They don't want to be cleaned up.
Right.
They want to be grubby. No, I'm not. I know you're not suggesting it because you probably know.
You put a, you know, hand on it and say, let it go, it's okay. Or you just let them be. Yeah.
It kind of depends, but 99% of the time, yes. I had someone in here the other day and she was wobbly and I was like, ooh. And she was shifting and shifting and shifting. And I went up, I said, are you okay? She said, actually, I'm feeling sick. So she had like a toxin release. And that was a bit emotional, but it was mostly physical. So I went and I adjusted her and we got her sorted out. I got her a glass of water and it kind of depends.
Yeah, being aware of what's happening.
But if someone's having a cry, I don't go anywhere near them. I'm just like, oh, that's beautiful.
Yes.
Let them have a cry.
I've been in a house where someone's silent and was crying, and it's usually been a bit open.
Yeah. First time I did yin and I did a hip opener, I bawled. It was beautiful, it was so powerful. Yeah. Loved it. I wasn't expecting it, but it takes us into our own self. our own body, our own mind and heart. It offers us an opportunity to learn and see what's going on inside so we can make adjustments to our mind, body and energy. When we're quiet and create space within, we can access our body's wisdom. Same with meditation, right? Best things drop in when you're off the quietness. Yin yoga is a stringing together of poses to give the body vitality and an energy bath. And that's what working with the meridians does. It opens up the energy lines and gives us an energy bath. We come into the yin yoga poses with an appropriate edge, which is stimulating but not aggressive. So halfway between the sledgehammer and the pink fluffy mitten for self-love. Engaging consciously and carefully into your inner deep intelligence. Listen for your emotions and soothe them, allowing greater natural clarity. There are three primary elements of practicing yin yoga and teaching it. So I used to say this at the start of when I first started teaching yin, and now it's not necessary because I feel like I bring it into my language, but these are the three things. You find your edge, you come into it and find where that edge is. If that I've gone, that's good. No pain, stimulating but not aggressive. You become still. You find your edge, you find your stillness, and then you commit to staying in stillness and watching what arises. I've printed this a bit funny, so it goes ups and downs as you turn the pages. Awareness in yin yoga. Become aware of your thoughts, your patterns and habits when you're in the yoga poses. So for me, it's really interesting to observe when I have those little moments of like, I'm uncomfortable on this side. And I'm like, okay, that's all right. But they've only been in this for a minute. It's okay. Just forget it. So what are the things that you'll try to avoid or change or...
Okay, are we done yet?
Is that what you hear in your own head?
I do.
Who asks it, do you think? Who's asking and who's answering?
Well, I'm not answering it, but I'm hearing this with patientness, and I realise that patientness is how what you get in yoga is what you're doing in life. So when I come up against something in life, I get that, well, I've done it. Let me move on. And so it's beautiful then to just go back to the breath and just focus on the breath, and it drops away.
Yeah, it does. That's the guarantee.
Everything softens once you get past that, and then the beauty magic steps in. You just got to get past that.
Yeah,
right?
And even more beautiful, I think, is when you're in between, when you're at the edge and you haven't found the softness, is doing both of those. Let me show you where to go with the magic. Each moment holds the power of a new beginning. The art and mastery of yoga generally is to stay with the beginner's mind, which we've talked about a lot over and over in these sessions, to be curious about your body and how the poses feel, even if you've done them 100 times before. What did Matt say that I thought was a fucking gem? Matt, you're a fucking gem. It was something like, you arrive at each day with how you are that day. Because your body that day is not exactly how it's your body that day is not how it was yesterday, and it's not going to be how it was tomorrow, how it will be tomorrow. So you've got to actually honestly treat yourself in the way that the body needs to be treated for that day. And especially as a woman with our cycling, whether we're actually cycling or not, it's still a cycle. It's still going to keep rebirthing through the body, right? You can't undo a cycle like that. Bring your awareness from the exterior to the interior. Practice with an unaggressive and undistracted mind. And I love the whole unaggressive bit, because we can come at physical exercise with a lot of aggression. But it's finding a way to be unaggressive. And then it's finding that way to be unaggressive when you teach it to your students too. they're not feeling aggression and conflict in themselves as they're going to the pose. They're feeling a sense of, I like to kind of describe it sometimes as if you had like a little puppy in front of you. Not everyone's going to be like this, but the average person will definitely, well, I don't know. I'm sure you can relate, it's maybe the right thing to say. The little puppy in front of you, you don't just like come onto it and grab it and, you know, you're like, you become so gentle and buttery and you're, oh. You know, like, yeah, you just like, everything just becomes like so as tiny as you can be to meet that energy in the softness and purity of what it is. And I feel like that's a nice invitation for people in yin. Focus on your energy while in your yin practice. It will help to increase the vibration of energy in the body. It's not just not focusing on the physical parts of it. This supports the distribution of energy through the chakras. Safely holding our breath in yin can also help to wake up internal resources. So I call this, well, it gets called the sacred pause. And I'll often bring it into, probably once a month, I'll bring it into a yoga class and I'll focus on that a lot. So we focus on the breath, but then we can focus on the bit between the breath. And the bit between the breath is called the sacred pause. And that's where it says, another description of it is that's where the goddess lives, in the pause. And that's where the secrets of the universe are, in the pause. They're not in the doing, they're in the bit between, and that's the feminine, right? If you want to find the secrets of the universe, then think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. When we're in fear, we operate at a low energy frequency. When we raise our energy frequency, we can heal the body more easily. The energy in your body requires constant adjustments to have mental clarity, to access your intuition, and to interpret your environment more accurately, to be in resonance with your environment, and to enter optimal states of health and well-being. So that requires constant adjustment. You're not just done, right? Nearly there. I found the page the wrong way because it was upside down. Yeah. All right. So we're up to when teaching yin. So this basic 200-hour training only lightly touches upon yin yoga. That's the way it's taught. And a lot of the 200 hours don't cover yin, but I will cover it because I love it and I'll keep bringing it in. But if you want to teach a yin yoga class, the general, like to the public, the general consensus is you've done 50 hours on top of your 200. The 200 is the basic. I'm not going to ask if anyone's had this experience, but a number of people have, and I think we might have talked about it at the start of year 2 and yin. When people offer the 50-hour training courses, they often don't tell their students that it's not the full foundation. You have to have 200 hours to get your insurance and to be a recognised teacher. So the Yoga Alliance Australia and International require that you do your 200 hours at least before you go and teach. It's like a basic minimum responsibility of you. But a lot of people that sell the 50 hours, they don't tell people that because they want to sell the 50 hours. And it's cheaper. And I had someone inquire the other day, I looked around, but all the 200 hours are really expensive. I'm just going to do 50. And I'm like, it doesn't qualify you for jack shit. You might be able to get insurance and you might be able to teach, but you're not really in the standards. So 200 is basic. You all know this, but it's good for you to be aware of this for others. And then the 50, really, if you want to teach, if you want to go on and teach yin as a specialty class, you should do yin. There's online, there's all kinds. If anyone's got, I teach it obviously. If anyone's got any other options or things that they've found, please share it. I'm not, you'll find your own teachers for your own times in your life. But I would recommend that you do that. I've done a lot of trainings with Tiffany Cruikshank and yoga medicine. So she's very, it's embodied, but it's quite scientific. I don't love her style because it is so scientific, but she's really one of the only people out there that's specialising in multi-leveled yin. Most people just do 50. So if you already teach that, it's hard to find someone that's ahead of you, right? So she offers, so she does some really interesting classes. Tiffany Cruikshank. And she does lots of online stuff. She does several free things. So it's all just about keeping on learning, right? So you might do your 50 hours, have your 50 hours, you want to do some extras. She's got some great extras. Like she might do hip mobility 20 hours and whatever. And I find
just spell her last name.
CRU, if you just write Tiffany Cruikshank, even with shit spelling, CRUCK,
SHANK.
I reckon, yeah. And I'm pretty sure it's called yoga medicine or yoga as medicine. I'm pretty sure it's just yoga medicine. And so her basic is 500-hour yin.
Whoa,
Wow.
whoa. I love yin. I feel like that's one area I can go into.
Sweet, you know.
I love
Yeah,
it.
I'm
My passionate favourite.
Me too.
Yeah, the only tricky thing is with being a
Everyone wants
text,
to come to yin.
people don't
Yeah.
see the value in
I was
Some
going to a
people-
class that was yin yang, which was
it. Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
So it was yin to start with, but you think yin would be at the end. So it was yin at the beginning.
Can be
and
done
then
either
yang.
way. Yeah.
That was great. I
Yeah.
always thought yin should be done at the end. It's interesting.
I mix it up. I generally do it at the end, but I have done it the other way,
Yeah.
and it sounds nicer. Yin yang,
Yin-yang.
yang yin.
Yeah.
Doesn't
sound right.
To advertise a class, so I wouldn't be surprised if that person's just done it that way because it sounds better, but actually they feel it should be the other way.
Well, it was done in the morning, so she then wanted to energize people to go
Okay.
out. I think that's why she did it.
It's a beautiful mix.
That's the way
It's
that I
really
do
good.
it.
And as a teacher, it's not too taxing.
Yeah, that's right.
You're not teaching a whole hour and a half or hour and quarter doing flow.
Mm.
You can say something, Anna?
No, I was just gonna say that you do that beautifully, so incorporate it too.
Yeah, I do. Most classes I'll try to do at least a couple of poses a week, if not a half,
Right.
or even 3/4. Sometimes people, as I've told you, will rock up to flow and I'll be like, right, we're doing yin.
Yeah.
So I just want to be really upfront with that. Always be curious with your students and treat them as an individual. Everybody is different and should be respected as such. And that's actually one of the big differences I love between yin and Iyengar. I find Iyengar treats everybody like, here is a pose and you should look like this. And everyone's striving to look like that. But yin was developed as a technique, as a response to too much in the yoga market being about you have to look like this. It was developed as a recognition that there wasn't enough yoga teaching that acknowledged everyone's different. And that's how it came about. To give you time to explore what's going on in your body and to do the work you need to do as an individual. That's the whole reason why. I can't remember who, was it Paul Riley? I can't remember who founded it. It might have been Paul Riley.
So how old is yin yoga? How
Not
long has it been
heaps
around?
old. It's modern. It's a modern branch.
From China or?
No,
Just-
I'm pretty sure it's pretty sure it was Sarah Powers and Paul Riley that may have started it.
Yeah, I knew Sarah Powers.
Yeah.
Before she started it.
I think, I'm not sure, we have to Google it,
Yeah.
let's find out.
Yeah.
I don't know, but no, they're based on Chinese principles, but no.
Okay.
Much like Iyengar, a lot of teachers couple Iyengar or Hatha teaching with physiotherapy. You get acupuncturists teaching yin.
Mm.
I'm pretty sure it was acupuncturists and traditional Chinese medicine professionals that started yin. Create a safe and nurturing space. Music can be an accompaniment, that's up to you. But the safe and nurturing space, for me, the best yin classes are on Friday nights, and they're the only ones I'm doing now, actually. So I've had very regular people attending the other ones. I put a circle in the middle, you know, flowers, crystals, cards, candles. I make it a space where people feel like they've entered into. This is actually a time and place for me to quiet down. Very different energy than the other classes I run. Keep talking and instructing to a minimum. Support students quietly, one-on-one, rather than speaking to the group. It wouldn't give a whole. Yeah. Yeah. When teaching yin yoga,
Well, who are you?
is there a page with
Well,
it?
you've gone over a page.
No,
On the
put it
other
upside
side.
down.
Yeah.
Oh, I got it. It looked like the same pose, but it wasn't. Okay, I was just trying to see a picture. I've got it.
Yep. So the same then speaking to the individual one-on-one rather than the group, unless it is a group thing. So instead of sitting here and going, hey, Jody, move your left foot out a little bit. You get off your ass. Start the practice with meditation or pranayama. So I learned through the Vendata system, which is very spiritual and very philosophical. And that system is all about, you know, you do at least 15 minutes preparation in meditation pranayama before you start your practice. You prepare the body for the So organ relationships in traditional Chinese medicine, I'm just covering the basics here for you guys. Each organ is considered as a temple. It's a whole temple to be loved and adorned on. Has a distinctive each organ has distinctive qualities that need looking after. Each organ is in a sister/brother relationship, an energetic and emotional relationship to another organ. Together, the organs impact physical, mental, and energetic bodies. Balancing the 5 pairs of organs brings balance and vitality holistically. So if you were to do a practice on the kidneys, it would also be dealing with the urinary bladder meridians. So these are meridians. Sorry, organ pairs, but the meridians are also attached to the organs. So the kidneys go with the urinary bladder, the liver goes with the gallbladder, the spleen goes with the stomach, the lungs go with the large intestine, and the heart with the small intestine. So you might choose a class to create a class that is about releasing fear. And it's a kidney meridian class, or increasing love, or opening the heart chakra, and then it's a heart and small intestine meridian class. So you can bring the emotions in and the chakras into that really easily. Oh man, it's hard to know which way to turn the pages like this, isn't it? Jeepers. So this is what we're going to do now, and I've given you a sequence, a full organ nourishing sequence. It's the last page now. That's what we're going to do now. I may need to do a poo. Just so you know, in case you're wondering.
I get that much?
I might stop it and then start again for the practice, just because it's easier to upload if it's in shorter stints. Not because I'm worried about when you're going to know whether I pooed or not.
Might want to know if it was successful.